Welcome back to another episode of House to House. It is your boy, Kyler. Across me, as always, the guy who picked a pack of pickup peppers, Peter.
Hello, hello, hello.
And last but not least, the big bad boss, David Bay.
Hi.
Hello. How are you guys today?
Okay, I mean, I'm a little bummed about the number of cases that was released yesterday.
Right.
Honestly, like used to be a spike was anything above 5 cases, and then yesterday,
What was yesterday's spike again?
19 cases, 3 unlinked.
Yeesh.
So that for the second time in 3 days, we've exceeded 15 cases, basically.
Yes. It's because they mentioned the bubble again, didn't they?
Exactly. That's why.
It's the cause and effect thing, dude.
Totally, man. Like they never learn.
Yeah, every time.
It's like bubble is a bad word now, man.
We'll say buble.
I don't get it. Can somebody explain the bubble thing?
No,
to me?
it's okay, because every time there's a drop in cases, right, they mention like, hey, there are talks about a bubble. Oh, sorry.
Travel bubble.
You cannot talk about Hong Kong bubble.
It's not only that though. Like now they're talking about with Taiwan, with Australia, these countries also. But anytime that word comes out, it's like few days later there will be a spike in cases, no matter what. It's a cause and effect thing, It's inevitable. Yeah.
It's inevitable, like Thanos.
All right, so today we're going to be talking about the population census that just got released yesterday on the 16th. Yeah, on the 16th of June. So basically what the population census is basically like a stats update on how the population of Singapore looks like. So like for population numbers, whether it has increased, decreased, how many percent are living in a certain type of house, marriage, divorce numbers, births, deaths, and really so much more. It's like a huge glossary of information of the numbers in Singapore. And it's so huge that it's only done once every 10 years, right? It's like once every decade kind of thing. So the fact that they released it yesterday, we've got to talk about it. We've got to. Okay. So, but of course, we are house to house. We're not going to go through every single detail and like really what it means. We're going to be focusing more on what it means for housing now and possibly what it could mean in the future. So in today's episode, it's going to be more opinionated, sharing your thoughts, your predictions, and then we'll question whether certain housing policies may change because of this latest population census. So let's talk about some of the findings first. And I think they're actually going to release a a part 2 of the findings on Friday, which is tomorrow. But let's work with whatever information we have now first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sequel.
Yeah. Part 2. Sorry, not sequel. Oh, sorry. A bee just flew in front of my face. Oh, okay.
Someone's trying to silence you already, Kyler.
Sorry. I really meant part 2, not sequel. Okay. Okay, so from the big picture, population has increased over the past 10 years, but it's the slowest growth ever since we gained independence in 1965. People staying in HDBs are decreasing, couples are having less children, marriages are decreasing, divorces are increasing, and people are living slightly longer. This is generally the main summary of all the different stats in all the different categories. So firstly, population has increased from 2010 from 2020 over the past 10 years. But Singapore has also experienced its first population decline from 2019 to 2020. From 5.7 million to 5.68. The first drop in over 17 years, by the way. So from the stats, we could deduce that it's been credited to the drop of foreign citizens because our resident population actually increased over the last year.
Yep.
So basically, it's COVID lah. There's not much other reasons, I think, that reduce the need of foreign employees. Now, I want to ask you the first question of the day. How do you all think this drop in foreign employees affects housing and rental prices in Singapore?
Rental. We talk about rental first, because that's the easiest one. So foreign employees who are not, or they are not sure they are going to stay here long term, will obviously not buy a house, especially with Singapore housing prices a lot more expensive than normally what they would probably experience in their country. So they'll rent, and there's always a demand and supply. So when the demand for rentals go, the landlords have to reduce their prices to get the market share. and therefore rental prices drop even more. When I say even more, it's because in the past 4 years, rental prices are already very bad, like horribly bad, very low already. So it just got worse.
Right. Is this just for the higher end of rent, or does this apply to the lower end as well? Or just both in general?
Both in general.
I see. That
Yeah.
the rental prices will drop lah.
Of course, the higher end will drop more. And then because I mean it's just pretty decent logic there where let's say you can get a house for 5 grand, a three room apartment for 5,000, or a 3 room, which means 5 room HDB flat, 3 room HDB for 3,000.
Yeah, like $2,000 cheaper lah, basically.
Yeah, you people would then like, hey, why am I staying at this 5,000 house? I'll go to the 2,000, the 3,000 one. Unless the 5,000 one becomes 4,000, then I don't mind staying in Orchard, So
Like you pay 1,000 more,
yeah,
just for the convenience and centrality of it lah.
yeah.
Okay. Peter, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, everything Base said is essentially what it is, right? I mean, lower demand, higher supply makes it a renter's market rather than a landlord's market.
Right.
So tenants get to control what they're willing to rent for, and I mean, when the option is either earn less or earn nothing, then it's pretty straightforward which you prefer, lah.
Then what do y'all think about housing? Is there a lot of foreign employees buying houses in Singapore actually, or do most of them rent instead?
I think it depends on the how long they expect to work in Singapore. That's usually an indicator of how permanent you want your arrangement to be. Some companies provide accommodation, but for others, mainly it's just a matter of, like, if I know I'm going to be here for a long term, like if I'm quite secure in my job position, I would want to find a more
permanent accommodation.
Arrangement
for employees that may be based in Singapore and stuff.
Yeah, but with COVID, I think the one thing that the world is starting to learn is that commuting to a physical office isn't as necessary as they once thought. People have been scrambling for the past year, and I think most companies have figured out a way to do this work from home arrangement quite effectively.
Yeah, I mean, look at us. We're even doing the podcast work from home now.
Exactly. So in that sense, there's no need to even find long-term accommodation, because if it turns out your job can really be done from wherever you are in the world, why move to Singapore in the first place?
Ooh, okay. Oh, that's interesting. I was actually about to ask whether work from home and the whole concept of it, now that more people are normalizing it, I don't know whether that would have meant that people will be looking for nicer houses, like more comfortable accommodations, given that they're going to be spending more time at home now, which may have driven like housing or rental prices up. But the fact that you mentioned that, maybe we don't even actually need you here in based in this country, and that you can do your job back from wherever you were, is another layer that can be considered, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I think ultimately it really is a matter of what your role is, what your needs are. Like, say with Bay and his wife, like they both are very busy people, and they both have they both need they both have a lot of meetings, and I think there's only one room that's barely convenient with the kids at home and all that. So
is it? Bay, are you in that room now? Or what?
No. I'm not in that room. My wife is in that room.
Too much information.
No, it's fine. But so sometimes like my meetings are conducted, and I tell the people who I'm meeting with, like, I am walking around my neighborhood, which is cool because like every day I kind of burn 700 calories just walking around my neighborhood.
While really you're doing the meeting, that's quite efficient.
Yeah.
Actually.
So they can hear the cars, but it's fine. I mean, these are the more internal meetings. Important or not important doesn't matter lah. I just concentrate on the meeting. Sometimes I say sorry because I'm crossing a small road, but because then I have to take a look, right? I don't want to die. But the external meetings will always be in the house, in the room, or our travel to office, because I'm the director of the company. There's actually some leeway given there because you have to open the mail and look at your finances. So, well, the last time I was in office was last Friday, lor. Like, yeah.
And that's actually quite
So,
some time ago, to be honest.
yeah.
Okay, so then do y'all think this is gonna be a long term thing? Or once everyone gets vaccinated and the whole panorama, I don't want to say the other word, stabilizes, it'll return back to normal in terms of like housing and rental prices.
What is
Uh,
normal?
yeah.
You know,
Okay.
when you say it's really, again, so overused, but the new normal is really a new normal. So I believe rental will be lesser, but you cannot deny the fact that offices still need to exist. People still have this camaraderie when they go to the office, the bond between your team and you. Um, Humans are, after all, social creatures. So I believe it will recover a bit, but not, even without this, right? The co-working space thing has already caused the rental market to change drastically in the commercial office space. So the world changes and people just have to adapt. So maybe, I'm going to say something. Maybe commercial investment for rental yield is no longer going to be as great as what people predicted.
Whoa. Okay. break it down for the ignorant person like me. What does that really mean?
Okay, so after 2012, when the government put in some cooling measures, additional buyer stamp duty for residential and all, everybody was like, "Hey, now if I buy my second house, I have to pay today lah. I have to pay 12% ABSD. If I buy an investment property, 2 bedroom, nicer area, $1 million, I have to pay the government extra 120K tax. That's not
Damn.
an amount that you can easily just look over, right? It's 120,000. It's not 12,000, which is still big, right?
Yeah.
So why don't I buy commercial property? Because these rules are for the residential property, so that residential property in Singapore do not skyrocket like in other countries like Hong Kong. So great. Okay, so people started buying commercial properties because there was good rental yield. But last year especially was hit the hardest. I had a friend had an office at Central Mall, which is the one at Clarke Quay.
Ah, yes. Okay.
6 months don't rent out. You sell the areas which are those B1 industrial commercial property offices, right? Nobody needs an atas office anymore. People still need to go to work to a certain extent, right? Not during the non-lockdown
Yeah.
times. But which client is going to go to your office now? Your client not scared, ah? You know, I'd rather meet you at Starbucks, right? Than I meet you in your office in a trapped enclosed environment, and I'm not sure whether. Yeah, you see, the point is that people. So B1 industrial, where we are located at Jalan Pemimpin, at one, okay, at very cheap per square foot. Yeah, let's not pauto what my
Yeah.
land at 2, at 3. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's all taken up. Snapped. When I wanted to extend this, they say, "Hey, hurry up, extend it because I want people want your office space." I'm like, okay, I extend. Thanks. I don't even
Extend
think that.
the rental
The,
contract. Ah.
yes, I don't even think that was a ploy to make me expand. The guy is like my friend already, right? 3 years I've known him, so it's like, hey, okay, extend. So so yeah, it's people are moving are just more expensive because they realize people can work from home. People can people can work from home. People still need to go office to a certain extent, but there's not much great need for my office to be in Clarke Quay anymore. Unless my brand has to be that big. But you think about it, where's Google's nicest, beautiful office? Pasir Panjang. Is it? There's no need for when your brand is that big, you don't need that nice an
Your
location.
brand
People
itself
still
will
will pick
attract
you.
already. Yeah.
Exactly.
Um,
But there are also like the financial brands like DBS, UOB, OCBC, Citibank. All the banks has to be around. There has to be a head office around the CBD. Then again, right? If you think about it, what exactly is CBD moving forward? If this continues for another few more years, you don't
that's
need an
why
office.
everybody we're no longer a mortgage podcast already. We've gone into marketing and branding also. That's what we do. We cover every aspect already.
Yeah, so I don't know, rental use, break it down. Commercial property isn't as juicy anymore. When you wanted to invest your money in a commercial space, right? Anyone listening out there, you would think a few things. One, let's get somewhere around town, can rent out. Two, a shop house. Okay, pretty decent idea. Three, a place at Ubi Tai Seng. Okay? Now, out of the three, right, people will rarely choose number 3 because Ubi Tai Seng E. Like, yeah, guess which places can rent out now. So, sometimes being too atas may not be the best thing because consumer behavior changes due to market, due to COVID.
So people
So,
are looking for that cheaper option now, or rather
uh,
they realize that there's no need for the more atas option.
yeah.
Mm.
So exactly like where we are in Bishan, let's say Tai Seng, also pretty central. You look at the map of Singapore, it's still around the middle, okay? Office at Bishan. You say Tampines, you cannot complain, what? You say Jurong, you cannot complain, what?
Yeah.
My office at Changi Business Park. You say Jurong, confirm complain. I understand. So so these areas, Tai Seng, Ubi, Bishan, Ang Mo Kio Avenue, the further part nearer Yio Chu Kang, yeah, far as it is, it's still not so bad because if Bishan MRT is central, Ang Mo Kio Yio Chu Kang MRT is just 2 stops away lah. You
Yeah.
also can't really complain lah.
It's still
Yeah.
central but doesn't have the glitz and glamour of the CBD that's all.
Exactly.
Right.
But then you get the glitz and glamour for CBD now, no use mah.
True.
Yeah.
We're winning with the rental prices also, right?
Yeah, and then if your clients have to come, let's say can come, will come lah. Okay, if your clients have to come on, you don't have to pay $4 per hour parking.
Hey, that's right.
Yeah.
That's true. All right, let's move on to the next question. I think when this population census got released, the first thing I saw was a lot of comments or opinions that people are blaming the drop in births on the shortage of houses. So, is it really a simple correlation of no house equals no baby? What do y'all think about this?
Rubbish.
Rubbish? Or come, let us know why.
It's just
It-
family planning, right?
So there are a lot more factors that go into whether you want to have a child or not.
Oh, definitely. Okay, so I have 2 kids.
Mhm.
I don't mind more. My
Hey,
wife doesn't say it. Wait. Factory on work from home. No, I mean, I have 2 boys lah. The thing is that one girl. She say I also want girl. But can you guarantee the third one's a girl? If it's another boy, I don't want. So now yeah, we did our part lah. 2 replace 2, right? Okay, not so bad lah. Okay, but at the same time, we do understand that I think the factor is more income and house. It's not rubbish. Okay, housing does play a part because it's about your family finances. But housing doesn't play a total part lah. Childcare is expensive as well. Milk powder is
Yeah.
milk powder was the biggest expense, followed by diapers for the first 2 years.
Oh, really? Milk powder?
Yes. You'll be surprised.
Yeah.
If my kid drinks 3 bottles a day, like say normal kid lah, like not like baby drink like 10 ml per meal, but 6 meals a day, 8 meals a day, it's actually $200 to $400 a month.
Yeah.
How much does one tub cost, like milk powder, average?
The big Kong, $50-$60. Then my son is lactose intolerant. Then try goat's milk, suddenly become $70, $80.
Wow.
Then still lactose intolerant, then have to try another formula, become $100.
Just feed them whey powder. Just feed them protein
Yeah.
powder.
The cheapest option is you feed rice to wife.
Wait,
Then the wife
rice what?
produce rice to the wife. The wife produce the milk for the baby. Rice very cheap. Yeah.
The most cost efficient method, then.
Yeah, but then other things lah. It's not convenient, right? My wife is a working mom lah. Yeah. Then how, and as the kid grows older, of course, the appetite grows bigger also lah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So put it into perspective. What do you say? Like, okay, so people are saying that 100% is on housing that led to this drop in births. But between your factor of like essentially cost of living or expenses, right? So is it like more 50-50 between this and housing, or does it fall a certain side of the fence?
I think during a market downturn, a COVID thing. Okay, so I'm not talking about the past 10 years lah, but I'm going to talk about the recent times lah.
The past 10 months,
the past 18 months. Okay,
Uh.
you got recession, people normally won't have babies lah because you're afraid, right? You're afraid, do I have the money to pay, etc., etc., etc. Do I lose my job if I have a baby today and I have no job tomorrow? What am I going to do?
How are you going to support it?
Yeah, exactly. So that's where people will rather not have babies at this period of time. But yeah, in general, it's quite normal lah. You look at the Japan, you look at the Germany, when when your country is too mature economically. Can I just use the word? It's first world, right? There's a
Develop
lot
lah,
of
develop.
yes, develop. Yours.
Yes.
I always make these things, like those third world countries and emerging markets. Emerging markets. I need to remind
I mean, at
myself.
one point, that's what
Yeah,
the common term was lah, but so
it's
it's
rude
fine.
lah.
Yeah.
It's rude.
Develop. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like low SCS. Oh, suddenly also cannot say. Like bubble. Oh.
Hey, don't later somebody call you snowflake. Don't be too sensitive.
Please look at my skin. Very hard to snowflake.
Right, yeah.
In other news, I took first jab already. You can anyhow say, right?
Was it as painful?
This is my third day.
Oh.
I'm having tonsils swollen. It differs from person to person. My wife had it a lot harder, got like chills and fever and stuff like that.
Do you take the M
But
or the
my
P?
parents had nothing wrong. Okay, so
Okay.
yeah, so
It really varies from individual lah.
yeah. Plus, I think older people have less problems as well. But also,
Mm.
again, different varies from individuals.
Do you take the M or the P?
I am.
Oh, the M. I see.
P is not for our age group. P won't be available for at least another month.
Oh, that
way-
explains why
Yeah.
I've always been my appointment thing has always just been M and not fries her.
Well, you're not mass lah. You say name price, stock price don't go up, go down one. Yeah.
Hey, you never know, man. We can't.
I mean, not today. Not today. Maybe you can play this podcast maybe 3 years down the road.
Hey, hopefully, yes. Sure.
Market.
Certain words you cannot say. We are in a COVID panorama.
Yeah, panorama.
You must mention travel buble. So there are no spikes. Certain things you have to change a bit.
And nowadays, very. So I stay at Sumang Walk. Do you know the taboo word Sumang Walk? Okay, I know change to Bukit Merah already lah.
What?
Suddenly, everybody knows Sumang Walk because there was a
the
cluster here.
cluster.
I have random people who I never contacted. It's like almost when I raise a funding round and I'm in the news, random people I haven't spoke to in years message me, "Hey bro, take care of yourself. Is it your blog? Is it your blog? Is it your blog?" No, it's not my blog. Okay lah. Good night.
Oh, wait. Okay.
Kepo.
Since we're on this topic, right? Does a cluster affect resale prices, do you think?
I don't know.
Is it too arbitrary to say that it does for the long term? Like people will just wait like 2 months or something and then it'll probably like be negligible, right?
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it really shouldn't lah. If people are genuinely avoiding places because it was a cluster, I think that's very short-sighted lah, honestly.
Yeah, like it's when they want to buy a house, then they have the feng shui master come over and then they like do their thing and then they check the room. Like, oh, no spirits, but got COVID case before. Then after that prices drop already. Alright, wait, oh sorry, Peter, I forgot to ask your opinion. What do you think about the whole no house equals no baby thing? Where do you fall on that?
I honestly don't think one factor can really explain why the fertility rate is dropping. I think it's really just the cost of having a child in Singapore. Milk powder feels like a scam. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can say that out loud, but
it's a sham. It's a sham.
Yeah, another word I'm not allowed to use it. No, because when you think about it, like from a milk powder point of view, like which parent would admit that they are going for a cheaper brand?
Yeah.
Like
you can't
like what does
sacrifice on
that say
something.
about your parenting? Your parenting.
Yeah, exactly.
I have okay. This is an interesting topic. Nothing to do with housing, right?
Yeah.
I have a neighbor. He's an awesome guy. Shout out to Havin Yo. So anyways, he told me from young, and he's like bigger family kind of, right? Full cream milk, just buy. UHT milk also can.
Huh? Like full cream milk?
Yeah, his children. So he has 2 kids now. Also, he just give them full cream milk. Don't care. I said, what's the bloody difference? I grew up with this. Look, I'm strong. And he just make his kids after breast milk. UHT milk also can. Doesn't matter. They still grow up. That's why I think it's a scam, because I have real life examples of people who never die.
They just market milk powder as milk powder for growing and stuff.
The fortified vitamins and don't know what for brain growth and all that stuff.
Wow. Okay. I don't know whether I have to edit that part. Wait, the milk industry come after us.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
But the point is, as in, it's very expensive to have a child in Singapore, and I think until that changes, we can't blame one factor alone for this change. What I am noticing is, of course, that there's a greater proportion of couples who don't have children, who just not even it's not a matter of even having less children, it's having no
Zero
children. Yeah. Between 2009 to 2019, in 2009, 57% of households had children. In 2019, it was 47%. So the proportion dropped by 10%.
That's a very big change.
Yeah. For couples without children, in 2009, it was 14%. And then in 2019, it was 19%. So it's a 5% increase in the number of the proportion of couples without children.
Yeah, it seems to be moving towards that direction of having households without offspring.
Yep. So I guess to me that suggests more of a general decision rather than a specific decision. So people have no problems buying a house. They just don't see the need to have children in the house.
Yeah. Right. So we shouldn't look at it as no house equals no baby, but rather they just decide not to have a baby, and maybe no house is one of that small factor. I don't know how small, but it's one of the factors.
It's a factor, yes. It definitely contributes, but I don't think it's the main contributor or sole contributor.
It's not the causation of it, lah.
Yeah.
Okay. Very nice. All right. Let's move on to the next stat, which is, so we've covered, what have we covered? We have covered population size, we've covered drop in births. So now let's move on to number of singles. So singlehood has increased over the past 10 years. And I think the largest age group that shows this discrepancy is between the 25 and 29-year-olds. From the graph, they say that men has increased by 7% over the past 10 years. Women have increased by 15%. Which is
increased in what?
Like singlehood.
Okay.
There are more singles now. Yeah. So single men increased by 7%. Single woman has increased by 15%. But just to clarify, make sure we're on the same page and everything. Singles in Singapore just means not married and not like single. So even if you have a partner, you're still considered single. Yeah. So as long as you're not married, you're basically considered single. That's all. So now that there are more singles, the question I want to ask y'all is, do y'all think the government will lower or increase the age for singles to BTO? Or will there be no change?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is
heavy-handed question, yeah.
Because immediately my brain goes two ways, right? If you lower it,
yeah,
then let's say you lower it to 33,
okay,
or whatever lah. So people can start buying their resale or BTO at 33 years old. HDB demand will increase.
Yeah.
I have friends,
I think so too.
because it's 35, right? I'm 37, so I have friends who are like around the age where they decide to go and buy as a single. The spending power, but you see, but then you have more spending power at 35 or 37 than at 33 lah, because your career has moved 2 years in advance. You have 2 years more savings, CPF, and etc. as well. But then HDB prices, which are already quite inelastic because it's a need-based product. I think there was another podcast which we mentioned, right? Why HDB 5-room flat price? If you think this is a buble and prices may drop, why did I think that HDB prices will actually be quite inelastic and maintain? Because there will still be some upgraders and downgraders. So 5-room go to 4-room, but who takes a 5-room? The condos go to 5-room. Like if people downgrade, right? So the 5-room still people want one. There's enough demand.
Yeah.
So if demands increase, HDB prices may increase more. That's one thing. But then if you increase the age instead, and then so let's say the government played the reverse card. If you're all single, you only can get house at 38, right? Then so you all better get married earlier. Then the government plays that card lah. Then they just buy private instead, then private prices shoot up even more. Then buble never bursts.
So which between the two possible options, which do you think is the lesser evil? Or which do you think has maybe more dire consequences if towards the future?
Decreasing, I think, is less dire than increasing lah.
Because of the potential buble.
Yep.
I see. Peter, what do you think? Do you think the government should lower, increase, or have no change?
I think when I look at it historically, it really is a matter of trying to push a certain policy versus trying to cater to the reality. And I mean, as with all policies, that's the balance that we always have to take, right? Like you want to push your population to a certain direction, but at the same time, you don't want to have too many people left behind because of the policies that you push. So, like, it wasn't that long ago that singles couldn't even buy subsidized housing.
Yeah, that's true.
So what I'm seeing is that if it reaches a certain level, the government will cater to that proportion of the population that really needs this extra help to get housing. It seems to me that in the past 10 years, that proportion hasn't really changed. Okay. Yes, everything has increased proportionately, but in terms of the general population, it looks like the number of singles hasn't really had that significant a change.
It's not that majority thing yet, is it?
I mean, I have to look at the stats again, but as in, singles still form about 30-ish% of the population.
Right.
So that hasn't changed in the past 10 years.
Which is why there shouldn't
Which is why
be...
I don't expect any further changes. Like,
for now at least.
Yeah, obviously, like 10 years ago, you want to cater to like 30% of the population. So you introduce a public housing scheme for singles, or you increase the number of opportunities they have to access public housing.
Right.
But if the population doesn't increase beyond that, then there's no need to change anything else. That said, yeah, I mean, in 2009, the number of people living alone was 10.3%. And in 2019, that's gone up to 15.2%. So clearly, it shows that when a policy is made, when a change is made because it's necessary, there will be people who will obviously take it up.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, to me, unless we see a huge explosion of single people in Singapore, for whatever reason, I don't see the policies changing further anytime soon. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's about the most... I mean, it's the most realistic route to go. I mean, unless like what you mentioned, like singles in Singapore become like, or they amount to like 60-70% of the population, then there'll be a very obvious change to that. But if the size of that population pool sort of remains the same, there, I also think that there won't be much change to any policies regarding singles and housing. Yeah. Let's go to the next one. I think we sort of mentioned this just now when it came to the drop of births, and what you brought up the factor of increased expenses and generally cost of living of having a child in Singapore. So let's take that and make it into a point itself. There are fewer babies essentially now compared to 10 years ago. And having fewer babies means you need to spend less. There are less expenses. Will this result in couples choosing to, or rather opting to, live life and live the experience instead of starting a family? And why I mentioned this point is because does buying a nicer house, aka buying a more expensive house in general, contribute, or rather is it part of living this experience?
I guess yes and no. I hate that it has to be a yes and no thing. When you look at the stats, and I don't know if I'm jumping ahead here, the number of people living in non-HDB dwellings has increased, especially in terms of condos and non-HDB apartments.
Yeah, like for listeners, it's increased by 4.5%, by the way, from 11.5 to 16%
exactly,
for condos.
Yeah. And in comparison, like HDB dwellers have dropped from 82.4% to 78.7%. So, in other words, the increase in the number of condo dwellers is almost exactly the decrease in the number of HDB dwellers.
Yeah, you take one part, shift it to the other portion.
Exactly. So people are literally just moving from HDB to condos. So in that sense, you can already say that, people are seeing that condos have are more attractive. For the fact that condo dwellers have increased by 50% over the past 10 years. you can say that it's because condos are more attractive, despite all the efforts that HDB has made in the past 10 years to try to get more condo-like features. Like, all the ECs. Well, okay, ECs I guess are condos. No, like the attempt to go into DBSS, the attempts to make like more Pinnacle at Duxton's. Yeah. Clearly, all that is still unable to stop the move from HDB to condos.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it seems to suggest that yes, people's spending power is increasing. Like even as property prices increase, it's not stopping people from being able to afford private property.
Right. Okay. Bei, what do you think? Do you think that because couples now choose not to have children, they spend less and they can use that money to instead buy nicer houses and like live life in that way? Do you think this is what is happening? Is there a trend for this?
I think it's one of the trends, definitely. So you see more Instagram couples, right? But it's like how everything has many factors. It is one of the factors, but it's not all the factors. Yeah. I think maybe, if the government wanted to increase birth rates and even increase marriage rates, but also increase divorce rates, you ban condoms.
I don't know whether
To edit or not, right? To edit this out. But it increases all the rates, right? You get birth rates / forced marriages / forced divorces / if these couples, one of the partners accidentally got pregnant from another guy.
Everything increases.
Everything increases.
Our
Yeah.
rankings go up. That's what Singapore wants, right? Become number
Yeah, you
one.
want to be top of the pop.
You want to be on top? Okay. Okay. Then let's use this from whatever you said and sort of give us a foresight or your prediction. How do you think this will affect the property market for the next 10 years? Do you think that because like what Peter said, more there is still that there's still presence of that and acknowledgement of that transition from HDBs to condos, that people are saying that condos are more attractive lah, and then be it whether people's spending power is higher or now they have more money because they choose to have less children or no children at all. Do you think this might even lead to like increased prices or increased demand in the private sector and people leaving the public housing sector? Tell us your thoughts.
What was that song?
I coughed.
Hey, so we are in a panorama. Please control, okay? I hope you have a mask over your microphone. Yeah. So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? How do you think this will affect the property market over the course of the next 10 years?
The main factor of the property market for price increasing in Singapore, you think about it, if inflation is 2%, you hold a house for 10 years, you make 25%. That is compounded inflation, correct? Right? Nothing wrong, right? At the same time, Singapore is land scarce. Your house should not just increase by inflation rates. Your house should increase by more than inflation rates because of land scarcity.
Yeah.
So I think that at the end of the day, in Singapore, housing prices increase is going to be the norm. So that's nothing to, yeah. But if people are more single, the demand of the family houses, the 1,200, 300 square feet, those 3 bedrooms kind one, 4-room HDB flat, 5-room HDB flats will reduce in demand because couples will just stay in studio apartments / 3-room HDBs.
They don't need so big of a flat lah, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess the smaller houses will probably increase in demand, I guess.
Yeah, I would think so. It's essentially like ×2 demand, right? If like there are more singles, like more potential couples transition, like staying as singles, it essentially increases the demand by 2, right? For smaller flat houses.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, imagine a world where imagine a Singapore where like 5-room flats are cheaper than studio apartments than like 3-room flats. Yeah, that will never happen, right? I think.
Yeah.
Like if it's cheaper, I'll definitely still get a 5-room flat. Bigger space for cheaper, why not, right?
I think the demand would have to really, really have to drop for 5-room flats and really have to increase for studio apartments for that to happen.
Yeah. And even if the price drops for 5-room flats, people will just go for that instead, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So when demand drops to a point where the price is able to reduce, then naturally would stabilize there, I would think. Yeah, it would never drop to a point where it would actually be equal to studio apartments. And if demand for studio apartments actually goes up that high, something's very, very wrong. But that's interesting because when you look at the stats again for HDBs, you notice certain movements. Like 5-room flats have become less popular. The proportion of people living in 5-room flats has dropped. The people living in 3-room flats has dropped. The people living in 1 and 2-room flats has increased by 50%, which is actually proportionally to the number of people who are living alone. So the people living alone has increased by 50%, and the people living in 1 and 2-room flats has increased by 50%. I dare say there's some correlation there. But what has not changed is the proportion of people living in 4-room flats.
So that has always been labeled as the Singapore house, right?
Yeah, so what it looks like is that is the most, and I'm showing off my A-level economics. That's the most inelastic. That seems to have not had any change in demand or supply over the past 10 years. So presumably that's the most comfortable for Singaporeans. If you live what used to be the norm, or at least closer to the norm for 5-room flat, is no longer as attractive. I guess because if you can afford a 5-room flat, chances are you can afford a relatively decent sized condo unit.
Yes and no lah.
Okay lah. I mean, pushing it a bit lah.
Yeah,
but
it's not house to house. You can afford a 5-room flat means you can probably afford the loan of a decent sized condo unit, but whether you have the down payment is a very different matter.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. But so to me, it seems to suggest that maybe people who were living in 5-room flats or who would have bought 5-room flats are now looking at condos more favorably, whereas people who were living in 3-room flats are now realizing that maybe they don't need even that place. Yeah, so they might be moving to 1 and 2-room flats now that now that 1 and 2-room flats are more the norm than before. I think what we've been seeing in the past few launches is that every launch has its fair share of 2-room flats.
Yep, that's right.
Can you imagine BTO launches, like the majority of it will be starting to become 2-room and 3-room?
Now, going back to what the government wants to engineer, that I don't think will happen.
Yeah.
No, but
I mean, it actually may.
I mean, we talked about. I can't remember the term now. I mean, maybe we can edit this until I find it. But that thing in Bukit Batok.
Oh, that community assisted thing.
Yes.
The CCA, right?
The senior
area.
The active senior BTO lah, basically.
Yeah.
The community care apartments.
People lah. These are not emerging market, not developed nation, can say.
So I mean, literally, like, we are seeing entire 2-room flat launches, only that they are very specifically for one age group lah.
Actually, it's very interesting, because you realize 2-room flats, right, are not just targeted at single people. Are targeted at as well. So now there's a huge demand, both sides of that pyramid, of that bar graph, whatever, right? Normally is the working adults portion is the biggest. Actually, now you see the left and right bars increasing.
Yeah.
So single people and the aged seniors.
Aged seniors.
This is like geriatric millennials, right?
Wow, the one very geriatric millennials. I probably will not spell those two words correctly on the first try.
Yeah, I can never spell millennial correctly, even though I've been a millennial for years.
You are not. Oh my gosh!
No, I am. I will not.
What's the age difference between the two of you?
2 years. Yeah.
I am not a millennial. How is he a millennial? Young at heart.
You are a millennial lah.
I am generation X plus Y.
Look at me just sitting here in my Gen Z.
In your Gen Z-ness.
You are not a Gen Z. You're not even a millennial. You are a snowflake.
Wow.
No, weather very hot recently.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
why
I don't
suddenly
mind.
two
I'll
days
melt.
I
I'll
cannot wear
melt.
masks.
Oh, I like how another media content place said, but snowflakes are unique too. Wow, I steams, yeah. Of course, it was out of context, but it's quite funny.
Yeah. So anyway, the point I was trying to make is that it could literally be because one and two room flats are now more common than before, and that's why people are moving from 3-room flats to 1 and 2 room flats.
True.
Okay, yeah. I think I feel like this can be another topic on its own. The increasing trend of 2-room flats. No, it's okay. It means I don't have to think so much for a future episode. So
You think?
it's okay.
Sorry.
Hey, no, that's NC snowflake. Okay. Let's move on to the very last question. I think we've talked quite a bit already. So whatever questions that I've asked and the answers that y'all have come up with, we've more or less been addressing like this is headed a certain way, like some numbers decrease, some number increase. What can we do to fix it? We're always looking for solutions. Let's take a different stance for this one segment. Actually, is all this change okay? Like, behind all these grey clouds, right? Reality is that Singapore has developed over the past 10 years, and definitely over the past 50 plus years. And as Singapore developed, so did we. Tertiary and further education is basically like a must now. It's more or less becoming a basic need in majority of cases, and so that everything starts to get pushed back. Because we further our studies, everything else more or less inevitably gets pushed back. So yes, the number of singles has been increasing, but maybe because like this supposed timeline of like what age you're supposed to do this, what age you're supposed to do this, just gets shifted back. Like it's normal now to marry and have kids even at your late 30s and early 40s even for some cases. Do y'all think that it's just like people should just look at it as the whole timeline shifting back a bit? It's not so much of like, oh, we need to address this because people miss by 2 years. Like 25, you don't get married. You get married at 27? No, we must fix. But rather like, yeah, okay, things just get pushed back now. Should that be the case instead?
I think you brought up a very, very fair point. Firstly, people are more active at an older age, retirement age from 55 to 58 to 60 to 67 to 68 to whatever, right? People are more active. People are at an older age are still functioning. People are dying at an older age as well. So yes, the timeline should just shift further. What does that mean to parents as well is that you feed your child for a longer period of time as well. So but you also work for the same number of years. Last time you start working at 19 or 21, and then you retire at 60. Now you start working at 25, you retire at 65. Same. You still work the same 40 years of your life. Yeah, I think what you say makes a lot of sense. Of course, we need the census analysis department to do a deep dive and to understand all these things better. I'm sure there's companies out there who literally crunches this data to get insights from.
Confirm got those analysis that do this kind of then draw the conclusions of it.
Quadratics, maybe not a sponsor, but I guess
Qualtrics.
Not a sponsor, that's why I can anyhow say.
Okay, edit.
Quadrix, what is this? Is that with a Qualtrics?
Okay, enough. Not a sponsor already.
Okay, sorry, not a sponsor.
Yeah, bought over by SAP for a cup of B. But okay, let's move on.
Cup of buble.
Yeah, but I think everything moved back is something that is an interesting proposal theory.
Like, yeah. I think a lot of people are fixated on, like, I mean, even me, like, we've mentioned before, like, oh, you need to get a house by 30. Like, that's the notion I've always had, And, like, I think recently it's like, wait, who really set these rules? And these, like, checkpoints that you have to do something by something. But, as the world is changing, I think we should also have, like, more open-mindedness in that sense.
Yep.
So, yeah. Peter, what do you think about this whole timeline shifting back?
I mean, in a sense, there's no good, how should I put it? There's no model, population model. That no country has the perfect population demographic.
Right.
So in a sense, yeah, you could say that arguably there's nothing wrong with us getting older as a population. But it is a little scary to think that in 10 years, our median age has increased 4 years. Like the entire population is now 4 years older than we were 10 years ago.
So this is why I feel 29 every morning I wake up.
Yeah, it also means that there are less young people to balance out the growing older aging population. That's essentially what it means. And I think what we can do is look at societies that have faced this problem for quite a while. Japan being the biggest example of a population that is severely skewed towards the older generation. And then see what we can learn from that. So in other words, let's not try to fix the supposed problem of an aging population, but let's be more aware of what it can lead to, so that we can be ready to address it when it happens.
Right, just be prepared for it.
Yeah, I feel weird going into more detail, because again, this isn't the forum for population policy discussions and all that. But yeah, as in short, let's take advantage of the fact that we are not the first country to face this, and that other countries have been facing this for quite a while. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. All right, I think that's it from us today. If you have any questions, do feel free to send it over to us, podcast@mortgagemaster.com.sg. And if you're enjoying to what you're listening to, do consider dropping us a follow to be updated on our episodes. Okay, thanks for listening, folks. Bay, Peter, predictions on dining in opening when this episode drops next Monday. One word, yes or no? Go.
BTS meal, delivery only. No need to dine in.
I want to slap Kyler. Predictions on whether can dine in or not. No, whatever the sentence, yes or no, one word.
Yeah.
I don't know. Your question is not a one word answer question.
No, as it one word answer, yes or no. That's all.
So predictions on dining in.
Yeah, yes or no.
I don't know. That means predictions dining in will happen? Predictions dining in.
Okay,
okay. So the sentence never complete lah.
I apologize. But this outro is taking longer than the entire episode. Feels like it.
Hey,
no,
okay, redo.
Okay.
Ask another question.
Well, ask another question. This is the question I want to ask.
Hey, Kyler, Peter, is Lawrence Wong handsome? Yes, no.
What? No, you can't say that. It's Laurel Hong. You can't drop names like that.
Okay, change.
No, I was sticking with this question. Okay, dining in is supposed to open next Monday. Do you think it will still happen? Yes or no?
No.
Peter?
No.
Ooh.
But the BTS meal is coming out. It's delivery only. There's no need to go and dine in.
You make it sound like that's the first thing you're gonna do next Monday, to order the BTS meal.
Do you know how much you can earn on Carousel?
I think the cups.
Are you serious? Oh, suddenly I'm interested.
This is house to house, not how to Carousel.
Oh man, I thought like this would be like the Hello Kitty queue over again, but no.
I think that was what it was slated to be, but McDonald's, said like, okay, delivery only to prevent that.
You want to see the videos of Gojek delivery drivers in Indonesia?
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah,
it's crazy. But at least we won't face that next Monday.
Oh, you think? Actually,
it's only delivery, so it's fine.
I don't really care about BTS. Oh, did we just lose like 7 listeners?
Cut the episode.
Sorry, I'm like Blackpink.
Oh, they're Blink?
Hey, they good Seoul.
That's your opinion, I think. No, nobody's gonna fault you for that.
Mamamoo.
Hey, there we go. That's right. Alright, till the next episode. See ya. Oh.